All right, people, it's another episode of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best podcast where we admit that new metal should not be a crime. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how is it going?
Oh, great. Feel great.
Tim feels great. I feel great. It is still too fucking hot outside. And this week, we have a very special guest. I'm really excited to have him on. We have drummer extraordinaire Bobby Crow from the band Signs of the Swarm. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us. I know this is like interview 12 of the day, so we're going to try and keep it fun.
Oh, you're good. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it.
Let,
We,
let's get right into this one since you're the drummer. The video on YouTube where you guys are playing the mosh part and it's just like, we got to prove we're doing this. That shit is fucking incredible.
Wait, which video?
what do you, Tim? Are you talking about the breakdown from Amongst the Low and Empty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, obviously I knew you guys could play it, but like just the troll, like I don't know if you guys were doing the troll effect on there, but like to me the troll effect of it was fucking amazing because it's like, oh yeah, okay, here it is right here.
Yeah, I was talking about that a couple days ago, man. It's like I kind of had my moment with that, and then I had to pull it off. And we were in the studio, like just basically seeing how slow and how fast we can go back and forth, like just laughing about it. And I think if you get cool shit, like if it makes you laugh, that's usually our hint to be like, okay, like that's pretty. Because sometimes you go too far and it's just not cool. But
Yeah,
if you can
Right,
laugh
right.
about it, if you can laugh about it, it's like, okay, I think you did something.
yeah, it
What?
was like so
Yeah.
ridiculous. It was just like, yeah, that's amazing.
And you hit on a good point, Bobby. Right? Like some people take this shit so seriously. It's like,
I
yo,
know.
I want to go and I want to have a good time. So I will tell you, I dragged a buddy of mine. We dragged each other to go see Christmas Burns Red 2 years ago.
Oh,
And
nice.
shout out to Troy. He's a fan of the show, friend of the show. His favorite band is in descending order Dream Theater and Prince. So you guys came out, and I'm like, yeah, Troy, this may not be your thing, but watch. And I love the fucking album. I was blown away. Afterwards, I sort of Troy and I go, hey, what did you think? And he's just kind of standing there, and he looks at me and he goes, what the fuck was that? Like he was his brain.
That's
You
perfect.
melted his brain.
That's exactly, I say this all the time. That is pretty much all I want to get out of a show, like from somebody coming to see a show. If especially if they haven't heard us before. We do a lot of support tours where we get like 30 minutes to play for people. And so we just try to pack it nonstop fun shit. And that's awesome that you said that because I say that all the time. It's
It
like I
was
just want people to walk away and be like, "Yo, what was that?"
it was
Now I
really
want to know
cool.
more.
It was really cool to see. And like people don't realize that's a big show, like in a huge
Yeah,
room.
it's like four or
And
5,000 people in that room.
all the
Yeah,
August Burns Reds fans, you guys come on, and I'm looking around and I'm like these people are not ready for what's gonna happen. Their
it's
faces,
funny because I'm an August Burns, right? Like that's the shit I
right,
grew up on. So
right.
it's cool. It's cool to get to
But
be
it
a
was
part of
it
that.
was something else, man. It was something else. And I will tell you, I actually got to caught you guys when you came through Philly on your headliner with was that Upsulfur
Oh
and
yeah,
156 Silence. And I will say this, man. I love bills where each band is trying to blow the other bands off the stage. Like, follow this. And that tour
yeah.
was
A
an
lot of great
example of
bands.
5 bands who were all coming out for blood. And I was texting Tim. I'm like, yo, you should have made it, man. Like I'm sitting here I was completely blown away. It was unbelievable.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of really fucking sick bands. It was
Jay,
fun.
did you
That venue's brutal though. The
It's
underground.
the sound is, even with all what
Yeah,
they've done, depending upon where you're standing in relation to those pillars, you could have either the best sound or I saw Nails there once and I was like,
yeah,
why do they sound so shitty? And I went forward 5 feet and I went, oh, because the
yeah,
the reverberation off of hard walls were terrible.
yeah.
Jay, didn't you see signs with the breathing process as well?
No,
Oh my God.
that was Worm Shepherd.
Oh, it's Worm Shepherd. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that was. Oh my God, that was almost 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
Was that the
The
tour where
breathing
the
process is
singer?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the tour where the singer was sick and everybody was they were like
Yeah.
karaoke in it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, which is kind of wild to see death metal karaoke where they're like, "Hey, if you know the words to the songs, please come up and sing." But we're just gonna play, and it was like, "All right, this is kind of wild." And then in the moment, you're like, "I know there's a growl, I know there's a guttural, there's an inhale. I'm not gonna get it right." So let's talk, Bobby. Like, so from the fan perspective, right? It seems like deathcore has turned a corner, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you had all these really, truly great bands. For the longest time, like every genre, every subgenre gets maligned, where everybody's like, "Oh, they all sound the same." But it seems like out of
Yeah.
nowhere, you have Lorna Shore taking off and doing this black metal induced thing. And you guys come out with this, it's honestly this technical like proto slam, just I want to break someone's face off, right? And then you had Whitechapel come out this year, like Phil Bozeman. I think he got up off the couch and was like, fuck it, we got to show these young guys that we've still got it, right? And
That's yeah.
that tour was unbelievable. They sounded so crisp. I'm like, Tim, holy shit, like it
Yeah.
sounds like the CD. But
They're the best sounding live band I've
I
probably ever seen now, truly.
I
It's
was
fucked up.
dude, I was shocked. I was shocked. But you guys are
Yeah.
no slouches, right? Like, I mean, that last album, and I did get a advance, but I haven't got a chance to listen to it. But the last one, like you know what song sticks out to me? The ending riff in Malady, the fade out
No,
where
yeah.
it's the pinch harmonics going out, like that is a fucking evil sounding way to end that album. So who does
Thank
the
you.
writing, Bobby? Is it all of you, or is it primarily you, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I'd say I do like most of the core writing. But it's kind of everybody pitches in, like truly, like it's so hard to say when we get to the point of finishing the album and we're like, oh, we have to do royalties, like this lame ass, like, fucking like
Excel sheet.
bitch work. Exactly. And be like, oh, royalty splits. Well, like, oh, I did this much. It's like, it's bullshit. We just split everything down the middle. But it's just because, like, I could get like a riff from somebody and then that becomes a whole song. And it's like, yeah, I wrote most of the song, but I never would have got to that point without the inspiration
Fair.
from whatever somebody gave me. So, but yeah, I do a lot of the writing for us. I don't really do any lyrics. I do some patterns with Dave, like rhythms and stuff like that. But lyrics, it's the only bit of that I do is like just shouting stuff out in the studio when we get stumped on a word or something. But musically, I do a lot of it here. I'm facing the other way right now, but this is my little studio setup that I
That's
share with my
awesome.
cats, and and
That's
yeah, I just do
awesome.
most of it here. Yeah.
And
Uh,
are you in Bobby? Are you in Pittsburgh, or said you're in West Virginia?
yeah, I live in West Virginia. I'm like an hour from Pittsburgh,
Okay,
so I'm in this like weird strip of West Virginia that's like 10 minutes either way. You're in Ohio or Pittsburgh, so
oh,
or
okay, okay.
Pennsylvania. Sorry. Yeah.
I was speaking of geography, I was reading some Twitter thread last night where people were sharing like stories from their areas, and they brought up Western West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, parts of Tennessee where there's still like hollers, and there are still
Yeah.
parts where you get 5 miles off the road and you are in the middle of the woods, and
Yeah.
God
I mean,
knows
that's
who's
where it
out
is.
there
That's how
with
it is
you.
here.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah. That's the shit I grew up in. Like I always joke with my wife and with my bandmates that like, I spend most of my life on tour in cities and this and that. And it's cool. Like I've had my fair share of seeing a lot of the same places these days, but I always joke that like I'm just kind of working to get back to the farm, like I grew up on the farm. I want to
Right.
retire on the farm. Like that's home for me. So
So let me ask you this, Bobby. Speaking of all the cities and all the places you played, what's a city where you guys get an amazing reaction, and in a million years you never would have guessed? Like I don't know, like fucking Sheboygan, Michigan, or something. Like
oh shit.
What's a place that you guys consistently
Oh
play where you
man.
go, nobody would have bet that we would blow up here, but every time we take the stage, the place goes nuts.
Yeah, so I get it now having gone there because there's a really great local scene and some sick local bands there. But what the fuck is that? Little Rock, Arkansas.
No
There's like,
shit.
yeah, there's like nobody. You'd think there's nobody. Like you're driving through that town, it seems dead, but pretty much every metal show there is like sold out. They
Wow.
have a couple venues, there's a pizza shop that we've played a lot called Vino's. And there's like one promoter for the whole town. It's like, or maybe like two, but they work together. This nice woman, I feel bad I don't remember her name because just in passing, but she's always very nice to us. And yeah, there's like a 300 cab venue and like a 600 cab venue, and that's pretty much all they got. And it's always insane there for whatever reason. We've done so many shows there that
That
are
is
always great.
That is wild. Tim, imagine going in to pick up a pizza for your family, and these guys are
Nope.
on stage and you hear the bass
It's
blasting, and yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's like the front half is a pizza shop, and then there's like a little corridor where where they sell tickets, and then behind that is like a tiny little bar with a stage, and it's an interesting spot. I'm trying to think of anywhere else, man. Probably all kinds of places. There's like kind of, a couple middle of nowhere. I think what is like Greenville, South Carolina, I think that is.
Okay.
Has a crazy little scene. There's a small venue there. It's like 250 cap, but it sells out at like every weekend. They have bands there. And it's interesting. You find those places like I said, I'm from the sticks, but most of the kids that I knew, going to high school and shit, like were into metal and super underground stuff. It's weird how that, I mean, think like Slipknot coming from Iowa or whatever. You have these weird kind of corners of nothingness that really invites like that kind of angry shit.
I guess,
Yeah.
right? In the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Just this past weekend, I was out in Peoria, which is Mudvayne's hometown, and I'm looking around and I'm like, yeah, I guess I could see it. I guess I can see it.
I didn't know they were from there actually.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there was a venue there called it's not I don't think it's there anymore. It's called the Rail or Rail 2 Club or something like that. And we used to play there all the time. I played there in so many different bands. It was just like it was like a fucking shed in the middle of nowhere.
It's kind of like them places in the sticks. It's like people either get into something like music or some kind of hobby, or they get into something real stupid that
Gets you in
kind of cuts
trouble.
their life short.
Yeah. Or both.
Yeah.
A lot of times
right.
both. You gotta end
Right.
up on the road and then you figure out how hard it is.
I forget who we talked to who said it's believe it or not, it's harder to play shows in bigger metros because they're so big and because there's more going on. You're actually competing with the bands that were there last night and the bands that are going to be there tomorrow night. Where when you
Yeah.
start hitting like second and third tier cities, there's like Little Rock, right? Like Peoria,
Yeah.
like even like Portland, Oregon, and places where not everybody gets through there. So when people do get there, it's like, oh shit, we got to go out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like New York City is one of the hardest places to play
And
because
where do you play in the city, Bobby? Is it out in
yeah.
Amityville? Like, are you out in Long Island?
No,
Like, what's
there is
left in the city?
there is two venues. There's two venues on Long Island, but one of them's okay. It's like a smaller club. The other one's a really nice venue. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like 1,000 cap, amazing venue. But you're lucky to get like 100 people to come there because
Damn.
most people rely on public transportation in the city, and so it's really really hard. I mean, it's like a 2 hour bus ride or whatever, to get out there.
Oof.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the city, there's a couple of venues like Irving Plaza, the Gramercy Theater is like the big one. We play all like the most tourists go there. But yeah, I mean, you can get people out, but it's so expensive and so just tough that it's really hard to make any money there to sell merch to get people out. Like it's interesting because you think like New York City, you have like Madison Square Garden and shit, right? But there's these levels of like
Right.
you go from a 300 cap venue and then the next or like a 500 like Gramercy like 500 or whatever and then the next jump is like massive to like the garden at Madison Square Garden or whatever it's like 5,000 so the gaps there are crazy so it's kind of nuts.
I think we need to bring up one obvious thing that me and that Jay that we talk about all the time because I just remembered that what's that record called? Is it Absolvier?
Absolvier, yes.
Yeah,
That was on Unique Leader, right?
that was our last record with them.
So me and Jay are like famous for like pretty much reacting to every goddamn video they put out. It's like
We're the unofficial Unique Leader podcast.
amazing label. But like I just wanted to ask like your experience with that label because like it's just like whoever runs that label just has a fucking ear for music, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
a
very
super
rare that
small
they put out
operation,
shitty
man.
stuff.
No, yeah. Like, so when we signed on in 2017 or something, I remember we played a Halloween show in the middle of somewhere in PA and we had the contract printed out and we all just stood there. We didn't get a second opinion on it or anything. We just stood there during the show and just signed it and sent it off because we were like 19 or something at the time.
Wow.
And at the time it was Eric who was in Deeds of Flesh. That was he started that label.
Oh,
And
okay.
we met him from playing World of Warcraft. We just met him on World of Warcraft, and me and one of our guitar players at the time, and he was just a super nice guy, and we found out who he was and all this. And so we got this offer, and then shortly after we did our first record, he passed away, and then Jamie Graham took over the label, and yeah, he's got a great ear. And he's been in a lot of bands too, like Jamie, and he also used to work with Sumerian, I think Century as well. Like he's been around, he's smart, he knows what he's doing. But it's a super small operation. Like honestly, like really the only reason we left is just because we were growing too much,
And that
and it
you
was
bring
kind of
up my
like,
point.
yeah,
Bobby, it seems like they're a great, not like clearinghouse, but he's got an ear and he finds these
no,
bands right as they're on the cusp. You guys, Cognitive. I think Peeling Flesh was a unique leader band, right? Like
yeah,
so he obviously
yeah.
has an ear for that. Wasn't Frozen Soul? No, Frozen Soul was Maggot Stomp.
No, I mean
Another,
back in the day they had like Rings of Saturn, Fallujah, like they were, they were really on
yeah,
top of it. And I mean that was even kind of after like they really pioneered a lot of the brutal death metal stuff, Disentomb, and like I think Defeated Sanity at one point. If not, they might still have them. But so I know a lot of people were really upset when they started going the deathcore route, but it was like, well, that's kind of what's doing well right now, So,
Exactly.
but
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, and I think I know like you know that I've had a lot of conversations with Jamie that it's like you know the label doesn't want to be he doesn't want to seem like a stepping stone label, like
Yeah.
I know it really does bum him out sometimes to see bands go on at first, but he's very supportive, and he's a very, very nice guy, and I totally get that. But I think that's the one thing, like he's really working very hard to grow the label that he can keep up as bands keep up, and he's doing a pretty damn good job at it. So
I
Yeah,
would
I
think there's
mean,
got to be kind of like that, the proud parent moment, right? Like I
yeah,
signed this band and they've
yeah,
done awesome and they've done so much better that I'm limited in what I can do that, they need to move on, right? And I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of cool to look at it that way too, right? All the bands that have come through your label that have gone on to, like you guys are on Century Media now, right? Like, I mean, that's fucking awesome.
yeah. There's obviously like a bit of like heartbreak with that, and it definitely bummed him out pretty hard at first. But I mean, it, we just had to move on. It is what it is. I think that's if you're lucky in this music, especially something so extreme, to do it for 10 years and then lucky enough to keep that going for another 10 years, it's like you got to just take the opportunities when they come, for better or worse, most of the time. You got to keep
absolutely.
your eye out.
Yeah, you miss, what is it, that old terrible saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
But I also
exactly.
think heavy music is having a, not, I wouldn't say a resurgence because it's always been where it is, but I think that the popularity of Knocked Loose, the popularity of Lorna Shore, the fact that you've got, Limp Bizkit did that, the post lockdown Lollapalooza in Chicago, and everybody was like, "Holy shit, we rediscovered Limp Bizkit," right? Like there is obviously a taste for the heavier, more extreme stuff where people who, I mean, I don't want to say normies because it's really kind of insulting, but people who would not
I know what you
necessarily,
mean.
uh, people who would
I,
not necessarily be in our orbit are like, well, that was kind of interesting. I mean, shit, you had Jimmy Kimmel had on Knock Loose, and you had people calling in and complain, right?
yeah,
Because I was watching this with
that's
my kid, and
awesome.
what was this like? That's fucking metal, man. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, there's definitely been something going on. I mean, it's the thing, like it's always been there, right? It definitely has its waves. Like, what people thought was super extreme, you know, I mean, having Metallica or whatever it was at the time, on
Hmm.
television or whatever. Those things just kind of it's always new and more extreme. But I think it's just contextual. It's like at the time people felt the same way about, well, Limp Bizkit or Nine Inch Nails or
Shit,
something.
Black
Uh,
Sabbath,
yeah,
R.I.P. to Ozzy, right?
exactly.
Like that
Or
was the
yeah,
heaviest thing in the world. Now you and I listen to that,
yeah,
and it's kind of like
exactly.
two
I mean,
steps removed from Nickelback. We're kind of like, okay,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like you think even like Kiss or whatever, like they're basically a pop band, but people, like realist, like now it's like basically pop music, but at the time it was like, terrifying to a lot of people. And it's the same thing. I don't think it ever really changes. I think it's just in a different package, but yeah, I think the big thing is, you get that every 10 years or so, like next generation of people really discovering whatever. And so many things go into like the political climate, the way the world is, whatever it is that's going on. just, you know, kind of catapults different the need for different things, you know. I saw something the other day that was about like the superhero movies, like all the superhero movies that are coming out right now are, you know, very bright and this and that. And it's like, it's kind of a recession indicator, you know, versus 10, 15 years ago, it was all like
Right.
super dark, you know, like Dark Knight, you know, the last Superman series with Henry Cavill or whatever. It's
Hmm.
like, because at the time that was, you know, we needed something dark. It's like, well, now, you know, we need something light and kind of uplifting and funny. It's weird how those things catch on. Like maybe that wouldn't have worked now and this wouldn't have worked then. I think it's the same thing for music, honestly.
That's an interesting way to think about it. I never thought about it that way. When everybody's all happy and shit, you need the other side of the coin to, I guess, introduce balance right into the world.
Yeah.
So let
Yeah.
me ask you this, Bobby. As a touring musician, what's one thing that you thought was going to be brutal touring that turned out to be surprisingly not brutal? But what's what, and conversely,
Hmm.
what's something they're like, oh, this will be easy touring, and it has been terrible. Like, oh, I hate this part of it. Like, what were some of the
Yeah.
like as you've been touring and stuff? What are some of the surprises?
Yeah, I guess I never really expected any like I don't know. I was a kid just seeing bands all the time and like watching all the tour documentary DVDs and shit. Like I, you know, that's I love that. Like Cannibal Corpse, Parkway Drive, you know, Kill Switch Engage. That's what I did. And all these amazing tour documentaries. And I think, I guess the thing I thought would be super hard was just like being exhausted, playing, you know, playing hot, being miserable. I think that's the stuff people complain about the most. But realistically, you get very used to that. It's like I don't know. I think I've done some really really intense shows over the years that it's kind of like hard to beat that now, you know. And like the traveling itself, like that has stayed hard though. That never gets any easier. Like the jet lag and you know playing a show, getting on a plane, going to the next place the next day, and not sleeping and
Right.
that kind of shit. But honestly, no. Like this sounds kind of conceited, but I've come from a life of pretty hard work and you know from like a working family and I grew up on a farm and this and that and mechanics was my first job so like to me most of this shit is a walk in the park, you know. It's like I get to play music,
Right.
like I get to
You grew
whatever.
up on a
Yeah,
farm on a John Deere sweating
yeah,
your ass off. Like, oh, what do you mean?
exactly.
I'm in an air conditioned club. This is
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you know a lot of that stuff that I think you know and I years of being in a van and just grinding it out, not making any money, working job. I think there's something to be said about that. But like, but so I think the hardest thing is like now I'm married and you know I'm 30 and being away from my family is getting more and more difficult for
Yeah.
sure. I think the thing that I thought would be hard, thought would be easy, ended up being hard. Or the thing that I find to be the most annoying is like the lack of bathrooms.
Oh my
Just
God,
like
yeah.
like I say this to my wife all the time. It's like half of my time on the road is like planning my next shit. Like
Yeah.
literally like you know we'll be like okay we're leaving this venue at midnight and we're not leaving the parking lot until 6 a.m. and then we get into the next venue at 12. So I have to plan from if I wake up before noon, go on Google Maps, figure out where we're going to be, find the nearest coffee shop, and have that ready for when I wake up. Because if I wake up at 9, I have to take a shit. I can't hold that shit for 3 hours, you know. So that is like one of the very unspoken things I think that drives me like the thing that drives me crazy about touring. Like I can deal with whatever. I can deal with long days, attitudes, bad food, being hot, whatever. But having to plan a shit is pretty fucking degrading still.
I guarantee you
You
there
guys
are
should get a
people
plan of
listening to this
fitness.
episode that were like, I never
Yeah.
thought about that. Right. I never
Yeah.
thought about planning bowel
Yeah.
movements.
Yeah, no, because you get buses, you know, in Europe and stuff. Like, it's pretty much exclusively bus touring over there. And here we get like an RV or you know, bandwagon equivalent or whatever. But there it's all buses, and they all have really nice bathrooms, but you can't shit in them. So you're not allowed to shit in the bus bathroom. So you know, it's there taunting you, and you can't do anything about it.
Are you do you guys drink on tour and stuff?
Not really anymore. Like a couple nights on a tour if we, you know, we're all still pretty involved in like the day to days, like, our load ins, making sure everything works, finances, all that stuff. So none of us get too off the rails because we all have duties. And I'm very grateful that everyone is like minded in my band and,
Mm.
respects that, because that's incredibly helpful. But we used to, for sure. Dave and I back in the day, the first or second time we went to Asia, we were drunk the whole fucking time and sick and missing load-ins, and
Yeah, I can
But
imagine
no,
like getting sick, Bobby, right? Like, because you're drinking, you're killing your
yeah,
immune system. You're in
Yeah.
hot basements with a bunch of sweaty people who have questionable bathing habits, right? Like, I remember I texted Tim once. I saw it was at the church in Philly. It
yeah,
was I Hate God and Brutal Truth doing a co-headliner,
that's awesome.
and it was like on a random Wednesday. And I texted Tim and I said, Tim, first of all, I'm the only dude not wearing black jorts. I'm probably old enough to be the grandfather of the youngest person here. And I am definitely the only person here that has showered in the last, say, 72 hours. It was something, man. It was something.
Yeah, but no, like every now and then, like maybe once every other week, if I have a night where we're like, oh yeah, we're chilling, I don't have to be anywhere tomorrow, whatever. I'll have probably
A
a
couple
few more
beers.
than I should.
Okay.
Yeah. The
But
reason
yeah,
I asked the reason I asked though, it just goes along with having to plan a shit. It's like you just know if you tie one on the next day, it kind of like it like joins itself, and it's like, oh man, like
Yeah.
I ate some
Dragon.
questionable food last night. I drank 10 beers. It's like fuck me.
Yeah, yeah. We were just in Europe and we had a day. We ended up having an extra day off in Spain because one of the shows got canceled, and so we just had a day off in like Bilbao, Spain, like middle of nowhere, somewhere out there. So we had a whole day just to walk around and do nothing. So a lot of us went out and just drank until like 4 in the morning. We had our driver
Oof.
drinking with us, which is ill-advisable, but
Oh
he
man.
was he was awesome. We had a day off the next day. He woke up at like 7 a.m. like nothing happened. Polish fucking monster, dude. And the rest of us are like, I woke up at 6 a.m. to turn over and pulled something in my neck. The worst I ever have for no reason. Like I'm like, damn, I'm really starting to feel it these days.
Yeah,
Like I'm
dude, getting older
officially,
is brutal.
yeah. I told my wife that day, I was like, I'm officially old enough to feel the consequences of my actions now.
I'm telling you,
So
it's
yeah, I gotta
uh
be
it's
careful.
something when you look in the mirror and you find that first gray eyebrow and you're like looking at it like, what the
Oh
fuck?
my God, I get them through here all the time. I'm starting to get it pretty rough.
So let me ask you this, Bobby. One of the things we love to ask our musical touring guests is you probably played with hundreds of bands. What are
Yeah.
some of the bands that you remember going, I think they got something, they should get big, and maybe it just never worked out for them? Who have you come across where you're like, this band should be
Hmm.
huge, and then just due to the injustice of the way the world is, they never got where you think they could have been?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think. Man, there's a lot of, especially back in the day, we played with a lot of local bands that were really, really great. Sentinels. I don't know if you know Sentinels from New
Mm-hmm.
Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
They are they were one of the tightest, best bands I've ever seen. Like they're perfect, every day perfect. And they had a lot of back and forth, like going through vocalists and stuff. And I think that some of the guys just got other opportunities and they started getting busy with that stuff. But that band very much deserves to be one of the biggest bands. Some of the best, most creative fucking music that I've heard, from like deathcore, metalcore in a long time. It's very much like the shit that I grew up on that people don't really do that anymore. Like the proggy kind of weird time deathcore, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like structures and like old contortionist stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, like even some of that Between the Buried and Me, like the old school shit. And yeah, that's a band that like they're still a band, I guess, but they're not really doing anything. I'm still good friends with a lot of them, but like the guitar players, ironically filling in for Amir right now. So yeah, right. So they just kind of like it's one of those things where people just get busy doing other shit, you get other opportunities. But yeah, like that's one of just off the top
Okay.
of my head, man. I'm trying to. it's tough. There are a lot of bands that I have played with that have gone on to do really well, actually. I think that's, a very fortunate thing. Like 156 Silence, we were talking about right around the time that we did that. They came on our tour last year. They just exploded,
It
and
was
now they're
awesome. Like
selling. Yeah,
that last album, I don't know who convinced Jack to do clean vocals, but it works. And it
yeah.
works in a way
So
where I loved Irrational Pull. This is like
yeah,
three leaps past that, the newest
yeah.
one.
So
Yeah.
he's been like, they're from our area. I've known them forever. Their drummer Kyle used to be my wife and I's roommate for years, and him and I were in bands together from like 2015 through 2020 or so. One I was playing guitar for, he was playing bass. I was playing, like, we just did shit all the time. And he, like, they've really, really earned that. And Jack, he was in some other bands, and I'll tell him this to his face, like when he was doing his local bands back in the day, like he was not very good. And I think he knows. And he's come so far, like so quickly. And I remember, I don't know what happened. I think he was posting like a cover video of him singing, and the guys were just like, "You have to do that. Like now that we know you can do it, we're not letting you not do it." And yeah, like they but yeah, tons of bands like that, man. Like From Joy is a great band that I met on the
Yes.
road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
and
Yeah.
I think they're, I would say they're doing relatively good for like, how active they are and stuff. Like they're pretty well known, but I think they just got that Invent Anime. I think Invent Anime tour, some decent sized tour, which is awesome. So they're definitely getting that recognition. So many bands. There's a great band called Greyhaven that they're also pretty respected. Like I think a
Hmm.
lot of people know them and like them, but they're just, they've never quite taken off to the extent that I think they could. Like I've played some like small fest shows in Texas with them where there's like 100, 150 people watching them, like same as us or whatever. It's not like anything crazy, but their music is so good and they're so talented. Like there's no reason they shouldn't be headlining a 1,000 cap room.
Mm.
It's weird. It's like we said before, it's weird the things that take off and things that don't, just based on that is or isn't what people want to hear at the time.
Yeah, it's more like a time and place thing these days, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and with Spotify and with YouTube, everything is overwhelming. Like Tim and I do once a month we get together and we do, hey, the albums of the month. So what's come out this month that we really like? And he'll be texting me like 3 days before the episode. Did you listen to this? Did you listen to this? Did you listen to this? I'm like, I can't get past the new gridiron, so no, I haven't listened to anything, and the list is growing and growing and growing. So
Me
let me
too.
ask. So Bobby, what's the last band that most recent band I should say that you came across and you were like, oh, what the shit is this? Like, what's the last thing? I mean, and it doesn't need to be like metal. It could be like, I don't know, polka or whatever. But so the last thing you came across where it really blew your mind.
Oh man, that's a good question. Um, that's so tough, man.
He's stumping them.
Dude, yeah, I'm like, because I obviously like I save stuff as I come across it. So,
Could talk about that shirt you're wearing. That I fucking
oh
listen
yeah,
to them
that's
a
those
lot,
are good
man.
boys.
I'm
Um,
pissed I bailed on that show that came through Philly. I should have went.
yeah, I really, man, I think the last thing I heard that was like brand new to me that really impressed me was a band called Wisp. If you ever heard of Wisp,
Mm.
it's like shoegazy. Uh, oh, sorry, my camera just geeked out there. It's like shoegazy, kind of like alt indie rock,
Okay.
and that was really really cool. It's really nice, like driving music. Man, I'm trying to think of heavy stuff. We played with Disembodied Tyrant on the Chelsea Grand tour we just did, and I had never listened to them. I don't keep up as much with new heavy music as I should, honestly, just because I'm so
Well,
fucking
you're
busy.
writing it, you're playing it, like, and
Exactly.
there's a lot of artists who say they don't want to be, they don't want to get influenced inadvertently, subconsciously by something they've heard, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Then and you know that was they were really really impressive because to see them be able to pull it off live too, like perfectly, that was awesome. And that's really not even like my like. It's funny because I'm in this like extreme, you know, deathcore, death metal band, whatever. But that's not really like my flavor of it. But sitting there watching them, I'm like, you know, it's it's like undoubtedly, you know, just amazing what they're doing. I'm just like, yeah, this is it, you know. But
Yeah,
man,
speaking
it's
of
tough. Yeah,
this, speaking of that band, not to cut you off. When I
no, you're
heard,
fine.
I don't know if it was a split or more of a collab with what is it, Sinestria?
Yeah.
Synestia, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember I put that on the first fucking track. It got like halfway through, and I was just like, "Hold on a fucking second here. Hold
yeah,
on a second." Yeah, I paused and I
yeah,
fucking text Jay, and I'm like, Just put it on right fucking now." Like, what
yeah,
is even happening right now? Because it was so fucking like. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of deathcore that's like you listen to it, it's run of the mill, and you're just like, oh god. But then
no, I
there's
know what
like
you mean.
yeah, and then there's bands like that you put it on and they're doing the same sort of what you're used to, but they just add this element where you've never heard it before and you're just like, that is fucking incredible. Like some of
Yeah,
the like off time, like moshy stuff that they did in there, I that just blew my mind, dude. Like I
yeah.
just could not believe
Another
how
band,
good that was.
Snuffed on Sight. We toured with them last year, and I'd never listened to them until we toured with them, and I was like, holy shit, that's another thing. It's like this is it. It's just got its own
Yeah.
thing. There's an attitude to it. I think that's it's weird because I'm in a very grateful to be in a position now like where most of the tours we're doing we're supporting bigger bands and going out with a lot of like well established bands, so I don't get quite the opportunity that I used to of like rolling up to a club with three locals on it and just being blown away by a
Mm.
local band. And that was something like that's where I made most of my friends. A lot of the people that I'm friends with, a lot of the great bands that are out now are people that I met 10 years ago, in a VFW or whatever, where we were all kind of grinding through it. And so that's, I fully admit that that's kind of on me. It's tough for me to keep up. I'm surrounded by genuinely a lot of the same people,
Mm.
day in and
Mm.
day out. As, I joke all the time. We were just over in Europe, and then we flew back and did Ink, and like half the people that I was with in Europe, I just saw, a week later on the other,
Incarceration. Yeah.
yeah, on the other side of the world. It's really kind of weird life to live sometimes. We just
uh,
like the same people in and out, and catering.
I'm glad you brought up incarceration because I always wanted to ask like people who like playing them kind of festivals like how much different is that compared to just like 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 because I'm assuming you guys play one night and then you move on, but like how different are them festivals compared to just say like a night at Irving Plaza? Like is there just like is it one of them things where you're just like God, I can't fucking wait to get out of here, or is it because I've
It
heard a
depends
lot
on
of
the fest.
yeah, because I've heard a lot of people
Yeah.
say like, Jesus Christ, this is just awful to be at. But hey, we played for 3,000 people and we sold a lot of merch. So
Yeah. It just depends like it because I mean you only play one day, so a lot of times you do it on tour. So for us it's usually the same as just kind of in and out. Um the it's a lot more stress, I think, but a lot more reward because when you're on tour and you get in a groove, it's like you know what to expect every day. We've been to most of the venues now,
yeah.
over the years. But when you get into those, it's because we're fortunate to just now kind of be breaking into that world. It's like every time's a learning experience. We always joke that like we're not green anymore, like we've got a pretty good grasp of how to survive in this world and to make our own path and that. But every now and then, like we get the opportunity to do something like that reminds us, like, oh yeah, there's still a whole other world out there. There's still a whole other level to this, and then even above that, there's arenas and stadiums or whatever. It's like
Oh
there's
yeah,
always
yeah.
something more to learn, but no, it's cool. You get to see a lot of people. Like you get to bump into a lot of people, and you start to see, like I said before we started this, to you, that it is a pretty small world, and there's not, you know, a lot of the crew guys are working for multiple bands, and you bump into the same guy here that you just saw, you know, at some other festival on the other side of the world, whatever. So I think there's a lot more stress on this because a lot of it's throw and go. You just kind of roll up, throw everything on stage, hope everything works, go for it, get out of the way. But it's, like Hellfest is amazing, Resurrection Fest is amazing. You get to walk around and you know see all these amazing bands, see this beautiful like festival
Mm.
grounds and stuff like that, rather than being stuck in a box. But it comes with its own challenges too. Being out in the heat or whatever it is, or cold or rain or whatever.
And I
So
would assume like you guys did the festival circuit right over in Europe. I would assume it's you keep running into the same like you keep crossing paths
yeah,
with the same bands. Like, oh hey, we won't see you at Grass Pop, but we'll see you at I don't know, we'll see you at a Rock Am Ring or something. It's like, oh
yeah,
okay, we'll see you in a week or something like that. Which I find that's got to be really from someone who's been to Europe but never been like that many countries. That's got to be kind of surreal, right? Is it kind of
yeah,
surreal?
yeah. It's you get so caught up in the day to day. I think that especially over there, like here, depending on the tour, like we might still take a van and drive ourselves, and then it's a lot of being very in the moment and having to pay attention to what's going on and make sure you're on time, this and that. But over there, we don't have international licenses and this and that. You have to pay somebody, you have to get like a bus or whatever. So all of those just blend together like crazy because you do the day, you crawl into your hole at the night, and like I said, you wake up in a different place and you just kind of walk out, and you're in a different country from you were in before. So in that sense, like it is very different because weeks start to pile up and go by, and then all of a sudden you forget where you're at and what day it is, and you hop on the bus, and yeah, you could bump into somebody that you feel like you just saw yesterday, but it's been 2 weeks or whatever. It is weird, but
Yeah.
getting
Tim,
to
holy
getting to
shit,
bump shoulders with people
we're in
is
Luxembourg. When
cool.
did we get to Luxembourg? What the hell is in Luxembourg? I
Yeah,
don't know, but I don't know. But we play at 3 o'clock, so get ready. Like that's got to be kind of like bizarre, kind of bizarre.
yeah, yeah. It's you just wake up, and hopefully you wake up with enough time to kind of prepare yourself for the day. Otherwise, sometimes you wake up loading it is at noon, and you got somebody walking through the bunks at 11:55, smacking everybody awake, like, hey, it's time to load in. And you put your shoes on. It's like,
I didn't even take my shit
like it
yet.
never ended. Exactly. Yeah, like it never ended. And that happens, man. You go where people like, and you're like, oh fuck, you missed load in. You're like, dude, I couldn't. I could. I wasn't gonna make it. Another 5 minutes or whatever. So
Being a drummer, do you like playing them outdoor gigs? Like I'm assuming in Europe, it's fucking just pouring down with sun, and it's just hot as shit. Like, do you prefer to play indoors? Because I've heard a lot of people say like outdoor shows are just it's on another level where like you just like especially like them festivals, like you just look out in the crowd and it's just like, holy shit, this is like it looks like 20,000 people. It's fucking hot as shit. Like,
yeah,
how does your mindset go into playing like a festival like that compared to like,
The underground arts. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, I actually just said this to the guy because like we've done a couple of the Europe festivals like here and there, but this was our first like, hey, we're going for a month. We're doing like 7 or 8 of them, back to back kind of thing. And I always try to take a moment because like our music's pretty intense. So I always get more nervous that like something's gonna break. I never really worry about like me being able to perform or the guys being able to perform anymore. Like we know the songs, like we play together so much. It's always like, oh fuck, something on the drum's gonna break, computer's gonna overheat or whatever. That's a big stress actually, is electronics overheating.
Mm.
Like
Jeez.
we do all the wireless stuff, all the wire, like digital guitar amps and shit. So that's, I worry more about that stuff genuinely than like anything else. Is just making sure everything works, as, because you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of a bunch of people. But I try to take a moment in like a chill part of the song or in between songs and just like look because I get so, walk up, hit play, walk on stage, and then it's just like locked in. I'm looking at the drums, look up and back and down. I always try to find a moment to actually like pay attention to what's happening in front of me so
Mm.
I can internalize it and take it in because like that's the shit I've been working for so long since I was I mean like 14 years now doing this shit, and I feel like I have to remind myself to take those moments to like appreciate it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're off stage and okay, hurry up, get out of the way, pack your shit down. All right, now you got to go eat. Now you got to go, take your shower, and then we're leaving in an hour or whatever, and then it's over, and then you're gone, and that moment's gone. And
Mm.
you might never get to do it again. So,
Right. Right.
um, so I think that's kind of the mindset I've gone into it with it. Is like I have to tell myself it's just like every other show to not freak myself out. So I go into every show like it's the same, like just there to play for people, whether it's 50 people or 10,000 or whatever. It's like just kind of try to keep that level headed and put on the same show and just be us and have fun. Cause yeah, it definitely like we'll walk around backstage before we're about to go on, but like Grass Pop was the biggest we'd ever done. It was like 12 or 13,000 people.
Wow.
And some of the guys are geeking out, jumping around, trying to get the jitters out. And they're like, how do you not freak out? I'm like, just don't talk to me. Like if I talk about it, I will freak out. Just let me just act. I just act like it's not happening. And, then once I get a couple songs in and everything's working,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, cool, we're cooking
yeah,
now. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, it's like, okay, I can kind of try to take a minute and enjoy it.
That's what
Because like we don't have techs or anything, we do
no,
it
you're
all
doing it
ourselves. So,
yourself. And
yeah,
that's
so
what
it's like if something fucks up, it's on us.
Mike White said that when he played Christmas Burns Red. He said, he gets up behind the set and he said, I looked out and my first thought was, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
all right, well, there's no turning back now. I got to bring the A game. So I do want to ask one or two questions, Bobby, about the album. So To Rid Myself of Truth is out August 22nd. And a lot of the press and the lead up stuff I've read talks about how you guys said, fuck it, we're just going to go insane and be ridiculously heavy. Like, and the last one was ridiculously heavy. What were you just like, fuck it, let's just keep going and see how far we can push it? Like, how did that decision come about?
Yeah, I mean, like genuinely, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, it's our heaviest record or whatever. Like,
Right.
it's
Al
I hate
Jurgensen's
that
been
kind of
saying
like,
that for 20 years and he's
yeah,
never been
exactly.
right.
Like, oh, this is our
It's our most
record,
mature.
this is whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think that we go into it really with that mindset. We just try to go into it thinking like, we always try to. We don't want to make the same record twice, and even if that we've talked about it before, like even if that hurts, like hurts the demographic, like I'd rather in the genre and the stuff that we're doing, I don't want to ever just it's extreme shit. It's supposed to be exciting and different and kind of make you turn your head or whatever. And I think it's important to like push that, in any direction, even if that means something totally out of left field or whatever that might not be what you expect. Just I think it's important to have different something
Right.
different. But yeah, no, we tried a lot of different shit like the year leading up, like last year, 2024, before we went to the studio. We did some singles, like went and tracked some shit and just started trying different stuff, like different guitar tunings, different, sounds, like more industrial stuff or like kind of I hate to say EDM because it sounds like dance music, but just like that
Electronic,
kind
yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
yeah, electronic stuff and just that kind of world. And we pushed pretty far with it. And there's a little bit of it on the record, but I think after we had done like 6 songs like that, we kind of had a moment where we only had like 2 months left before we were going to go to the studio. And I wanted to have like 18 songs prepared, and I had like 10, and like 6 of them I was really happy with. So I was like, we're really good at just writing heavy music, stupid heavy music. Let's just write some stupid heavy music. And then as we start doing it, we're like figuring out how we can, implement these ideas from the other songs we had into that kind of stuff to make it feel cohesive. And a couple of songs I had been sitting on for a while, like from the last album and shit. So that was really it. I don't think it was so much like, we want to make the heaviest record we've ever done. We're just always trying to make heavy shit. And I think something that we talk about a lot that's very important is heavy doesn't always mean like a breakdown or,
Right.
because we're definitely like a groovy chugga chugga band most of the time, but we like to do a lot of stuff we like to try to get melody in there and kind of give you like a bit of a breather because I'm the type of person like I still like listening to a record. I'm not really like listen to a bunch of singles from a band. I like putting on a record.
Great point because this shit can get exhausting. And I will give you the blatant compliment I will pay you, Bobby, is for deathcore. You guys actually write hooks. Like there are hooks in the songs. Tim and I always talk about, if you're a band and you can't write a fucking chorus,
Yeah.
get off the stage because you're not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to stick with anybody. And you like as far as extreme music goes. You guys are a deathcore band that actually writes hooks. Like there's memorable
Yeah.
chunks of a song you can go back and you find yourself humming. Now, granted, the cats think I'm insane. By the way, do your cats like when you play your music, they all go running? Because like if I put on like
Actually, my one's yelling at me right now to feed him. Actually, but
like if I put on
uh,
Napalm Death or Sun, my cats take off. They're like, forget it, we're out of here, and they're all just running
no,
throughout the house.
I don't know if they're just used to it. I mean, I've had these two for 10 years, and we've had this dog now. They just hang out. Honestly, they just hang out with me. It's not. They're pretty used to it, I think. But yeah, like I think we started trying to do like our second record had one song that had a chorus on it. It was the last song, and we like didn't really. It was a song that I wrote, and overall we didn't really love it. We liked the chorus, but we didn't love the song.
Hmm.
And then we went to the third record with Dave, and that album had like two or three choruses on it, but most of it was just riffs and angry stuff. And then the fourth one we tried to do a little bit more and a little bit more melody. And then the last one, I think we really kind of found a pretty good middle ground of like most of the songs have choruses, a couple don't, a couple are just angry fight songs.
But even those
This
have a
one,
hook though. Like they have like it
yeah,
gets
it
in
has
your
a big
ear where
moment.
you can go back and like replay it in your head. And that's the resonant piece that, like, to your point, bands that just blast, good for you. God bless you. But
Yeah.
it all starts to your point. When you sit down and try and listen to an album, you're 5 songs in, you're like, man, how many more songs is this? Because my ears can't take it anymore.
Yeah, this is a very, Dave and I have been saying in interviews, like it's a very chorus-driven record. It's, you know, I try really hard to like make a lot of catchy moments, a lot of stuff that gets stuck in your head, a lot of stuff that's a bit different for us, and like, and by different, like I said, heavy. Heavy to me. It can be anything. Like it can be the lyrical content. It could be the strain in Dave's voice. Like if he's trying to really get a point across. Because he worked really hard to make like personal, meaningful lyrics
Mm.
on this record more than ever before. So like giving him the opportunity to kind of have his space to speak and say something, valuable is really cool. And for stuff like that, I do shit with like clean guitars and even like acoustic guitars, not like sing-songy acoustic guitars, but like, just something that's doesn't take up as much space and it's still heavy to me. And I think it's just like, it's heavy in the weight that it makes you feel, whether
Right.
it's, whether it's you're being crushed by drums or, you get lost in like the melody of a bunch of guitar layers stacked up on each other. And you can kind of get lost in that trying to pick out the sounds. It's like, that to me is heavy. It's more like emotional, like thought heavy, but I like thinking about that kind of shit. I don't think, I think a lot of the great bands, like not to put us even in that, but just I think a lot of the great bands that I love, like Deftones and Gojira or Metallica or whatever, is like pretty much everything they do is heavy, even if it's not all like in your face fucking blast beats, like,
Right.
Crazy shit or breakdowns or whatever. There's a weight to it. And I think that's kind of the shit that carries, makes something feel more timeless than just like, oh, that was a really cool heavy song, or whatever.
Right, right. Heavy is more, it's way more state of mind than anything. So I know we're running out
Yeah.
of time, Bobby. I have one more question for you.
Oh,
And you
you're
kind
fine.
of gave me the lead in. So Signs of the Swarm is booking a 1-day festival. And you guys get to
I knew
pick
this was coming.
I stump everybody with this. You get to pick the 5 bands that get to play with you. And it can be, I mean, you can say, hey, I want Led Zeppelin to headline, right? If I'm putting Bobby Crow in charge, what 5 bands are
Oh
playing with
man.
Signs of the Swarm on this show?
You gave him
Yeah,
5? That's fucked up.
dude. Yeah, easy though. Easy. I got Meshuggah, Deftones, Gojira. Um, that's my all-time top 3 most inspirational bands, I think.
Oh, well, we're going to be talking another 5 minutes then.
Oh, the Deftones. Yeah, we got to talk about the new
Yeah.
Deftones song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, 2 more, and this is where it gets tough because now like I have to pick those, and now my options are limitless. Um, man, trying to think of something that's not super metal because I like a lot of shit that's not super metal. Uh, I love Manchester Orchestra. If I could
Okay.
somehow work a way in with my band to play a show with them, that would be amazing. So I'll throw them on there. And man, trying to think of like a good underground band that's doesn't get the love they deserve. Oh man, I don't know. Let's say Car Bomb.
Oh fuck
Okay.
Just
yeah.
fucking,
Okay. Yeah.
just because Elliot's awesome. I love those dudes. They're so
Just
nice. And
watching that band play, I get a headache. Like it's
it's
like
fucked
what?
up. Yeah,
What just happened?
yeah. There's a million bands. There's my like Spotify shit is all over the place, from country
Mhm.
to indie to butt rock, Nickelback, fucking Creed, whatever.
Hey, we are
But
Hell yeah.
Tim and I. Our
yeah,
tagline for our podcast is we are also Nickelback apologists. I think
yes,
that Chad Kroger can write a fucking riff. He can write a hook.
dude,
Anybody can shit on them all you want. That guy wrote
dude,
banger after banger after banger after.
yeah.
Come
All
on.
the Wrong Reasons is one of the best albums of all time. One of the
Oh,
best metal albums of all time.
I
I'll
was
fight
telling
to the death for
I was
that.
telling Tim, I found some Spotify playlist of like somebody's Nickelback best of hits, and there was some shit off some of their later albums, like San Quentin and stuff, which was awesome. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
this guy knows how to write a hit. He knows how to write a
Yep.
hit.
Yeah.
Yep. So I could go on all day, but just for the sake of not taking 20 minutes of your time, I think that's pretty
Fair,
decent.
fair.
Pretty
Yeah, yeah.
decent
We'll
list.
we'll take up a couple more minutes because you keep bringing up Deftones, and that is my favorite band of all time. What do you think of the
Yeah.
new song?
I like it a lot. I feel like it's like one of their songs that is like not I don't know how to explain it. You know when you listen to their albums and they're not filler songs, but they're songs that are setting something else up.
Absolutely.
That's what
Yep.
that song feels like. It feels like the setup to something, and I want to know what it is. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's the whole song is just like two parts, and it's
Yep.
only like 3 minutes long. And I know that whatever comes next is gonna be like the release to that song, like that's the build, and then the next song's gonna be because they do that like on every record pretty much, like
Yeah.
they have a lot of those kind of like 2 minute long, interlude bits and stuff that I think really sit that like we said with an album, like it makes an album. Like you need those moments that
The
makes it
breather.
like that
Yeah.
makes that shit special to me. So
Well,
I
yep.
like it. I like it. I've only listened to it once because I want to hear it. Like I want to listen to it all front to
That
back. That's
that's
usually that's what I
that's
try to
fair.
do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Unless,
Yeah.
unless someone's like, "Yo, you got to hear this," I'll listen to it. But usually, I try to wait for a record because I want to take it all in.
To hear the whole thing.
So
Yeah.
That's definitely
yeah,
fair. When I listened to the track, I was like, once it got to the change, and I'm like, there is the fucking Deftones I love because it was like,
yeah,
it was just like going on in that mid pace part for like the first minute and a half, and then as soon as they hit that changeover and Chino goes into
little singing, yeah,
that
that little bit
famous
of
Chino stuff, I was like,
yeah,
oh god, this is why I love this fucking band
yeah.
because he
It's
just like
definitely a vibe.
yeah, like I put my headphones in, and when that part comes on, it's just one of them bands where you close your eyes and you're just like, I can't believe this is happening 5 years later. I'm just hearing the greatness again.
Yeah,
Fucking
man, like
best band
that's
ever. I don't care what anyone says.
I get so lost in their shit, and like I think everybody has a pretty resounding similar opinion that like Gore and Ohm were like fine, but
Yeah,
not quite what everybody
Not
wanted.
quite what
And
you didn't quite
yeah,
scratch the itch. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and that's fine. Like not everything's going to be for everybody. There's probably somebody who that's their favorite record,
yeah.
whatever. But uh, but yeah, there's I'm looking forward to this because it seems like even like the mix sounds older. Like even like pre Diamond Eyes, it's a little dirtier.
Fuck
It's a
yeah.
little sloppier.
So there we go, Tim. When you're back from tour, call us up. We'll have you on and we'll do a deep dive of Saturday Night Wrist. We'll just do
Yeah,
Saturday Night
let's
Wrist.
go. And that's it.
The
That's perfect. That is like that's the vibe that I get from that song so far.
yes,
It's a little
yes.
it's a little dirtier, like it's not super heavy, but it's just got that like, like there's that grit behind everything. That's like, it's dark. It's very dark.
Yeah, it's
Well,
good stuff.
one more question, and just this is for me actually. I'm having trouble here. Like I've been playing drums for 20 years now. Not like every day. And I used to play in bands, blah, blah, blah.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I cannot for the life of me perfect a fucking blast beat. If you had any pointer for a drummer, me, what do you do to perfect a blast beat? I just can't fucking get it, man.
Yeah, man, it's something like I'm still working on it, like
Okay.
but look, the thing that everybody and it's the lamest shit and nobody wants this answer, but it's just do it fucking slow for a really long time.
Okay.
And everybody hates that. Like people hit me up a lot on Instagram, whatever, like how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? I don't get to anymore because all the time I used to do lessons. And unfortunately the lame but real answer is just do it slow and do it for a long fucking time.
Okay.
Find what your limit is, find what you're kind of, even if it's just like da, 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 whatever, like 100 beats per minute, and find it and just do it and then speed it up a little bit. And if it's too much, then bring it back down and just try to do it as long as you can. Take a little break. A great, my teachers growing up, he would say, like, put on your favorite TV show and do it through the whole show, stop during the commercials and do it, through the whole apps and just do that, because you're not thinking about it really. Like, and that's okay. It's good to like, you have those things, obviously you need to focus and get into it, but just kind of take a minute, look down, pay attention, and then just zone in. And whenever I'm trying to learn songs and shit, like I put on like video game highlights or whatever on my computer, and like that's in the background, and I'm like watching that, just because it's just it ingrains it in you and makes you comfortable in it to a way where you can kind of think about it. You're not thinking about it, second nature. And I think, being able to do that in music, like anything, guitar, whatever, and to be able to do it without having to think about it is like the ultimate freedom. It's like then you can think about being creative with it once
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can just do it. But
exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, literally just fucking one hand and one foot at a time, back and forth blast beats is like that's it. Try to hit hard. Try to let the stick do the work for you. I'm for sure you've heard that, many times. But
Yeah.
uh,
I think I let my
also
elbows do
too,
the work instead of my wrists.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think a lot of it too with drums is like more than any other instrument. It's just because there's so many pieces, there's so much customization, there's so many sounds. It's just trying to be truly comfortable. I'm still fighting with it. Like I'm always changing shit, trying to put something here or there, whatever. Lifting my seat up, putting it down,
Yep.
moving the kick drum closer, whatever it is. I'm always making those tiny little movements, but just trying to be truly comfortable is
Okay.
like the most important thing. Just sit, I one thing I did years ago, just sit with your eyes closed and like play along to your favorite song, like air drum to your favorite song. It's like wherever your arms naturally go for those parts, whatever, playing a fill, whatever, that's where your shit should be, like don't try to make it look cool because drums look cool or whatever, people are like, I got all this shit and I got shit coming this way or whatever it is. Or
Neil
like, I
Peart.
want my toms. Yeah, like I want my toms flat because they look cool flat. It's like if that's actually comfortable for you, cool. But that's not really like the natural what your body wants to do when you're thinking about it. They're not thinking about it, just letting it happen. I think
Never even thought of that. I'm glad I asked.
yeah, that's good. And just being comfortable, having good posture, like is so it's more important than like the knowledge. Just being comfortable, honestly, because
Okay.
everything else kind of comes. Like if it's just there, it's like, oh, now things are just kind of happening. But yeah, genuinely, again, I apologize. The not fun answer is just fucking do it a lot.
No,
Just do it a
and
lot.
that's the answer I needed because I kind of feel like
Yeah,
I go on there and I'm just like, oh, I could fucking do that, and then I'm like, oh,
yeah, dude, it happens to me too. I start working on our songs, and like the way I've because like we do so much writing in town where we're not on tour. I don't get to play a lot of drums unless we're on tour or like about to go on tour. Um, where I have to plan it out. Like I've learned for me, beating my head into a wall with shit nowadays is not good for me. Like just pushing through it to push through it is not a good thing. And I found like I'll sit down for the first time, listen to the song, if I haven't played it since the studio or whatever, and just try to get like bits and pieces. I'm like, okay, I got the hands this time. Like I can play, I know where the fills are or whatever. And then I come back and I'm like, okay, I got to pay attention to the feet this time. I'll just kind of like not really think about the hands too much, just let the feet do the thing, keep time. And then like the third time, I'm like, okay, I'll try to put it together, and I might get halfway through, and then the next time I get the other half. So a song can take me a week to get like actually comfortable with with being able to play it the way it's supposed to be played, and not just like forgetting oh, I need to do this fill this way because it matches with the guitar catch stop or whatever, those kind of things. Is like just bit by bit, piece by piece, and not trying not to get too overwhelmed by that. And it's the same thing with trying to learn something new, when you learn a rudiment or you try to play along with your favorite songs. Is like just compartmentalize these things and not try to like do it all at once, because it's I'm sure some people can do that, but most
Yeah,
people
right.
most people can't take in that level of information and then repeat it, on top of it. And I think if you try to just push it out, and you do more harm to yourself than good, because then you're just learning something wrong, and it's much harder to break that kind of thing. Another thing, great thing for my teachers. I had this teacher in high school. He wasn't even a drummer; he's just a great music teacher. He said for every one time you do something wrong, you have to do it like 4 or 5 times to retrain your brain the
Oh
proper way
wow.
to do it, basically. So, if you mess up a fill or whatever, it's like this thing, trying to remember a number or a name or something. You say it to yourself 4 or 5 times, and then you'll remember it for like days, right? It's kind of the same thing, but just a lot more moving parts.
Yeah.
To say the
So
least.
so basically just
Yeah.
patience and practice.
Dude, yes, patience. And even now, like
Yeah.
I fully admit, like I'm not as quite as dedicated to the instrument as I used to be. Like, as younger, I played drums all day for years. I played drums all day from the time I woke up, go to school, play drums in school, come home from school, you know, play drums until I couldn't be loud anymore, and then play rock bands so I could play more drums or whatever. And I've gotten older and have more responsibilities, and I can't play drums in my basement anymore, so just trying to keep that shit fresh in your head, and respect what the instrument gives back to you and
Hell yeah,
appreciate it
man.
goes
Definitely.
goes a long way.
Absolutely.
That is perfect. All right, so everybody, we want to thank Bobby Crow coming on. Signs of Swarm, new album, To Rid Myself of Truth, out August 22nd on Century Media. They're heading out for a headliner this fall. Check them out. I believe it's with Mental Cruelty, 1056, Carcosa, and Face Yourself. Face Yourself.
Well done, well
There we
done.
go. There
You
we
said
go.
that faster than I could.
I have the flyer memorized. I didn't even get to be salty with Bobby about not playing Philly, but that's fine. That's when we come on to argue about Saturday Night Race. So, Bobby, seriously, want to thank you for coming on. We wish you guys, break a leg on tour. We're really looking forward to this album. Everybody, thanks for tuning in, joining, listening once again. New episodes every Wednesday at 12 p.m. New reaction events every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Bobby, Tim, and Jay say thanks for tuning in, and cheers.
See you.